So welcome everyone, it's good to see you. Now we're currently at the stage of breathing meditation. We're walking through all these stages one by one since episode 200, and as is customary I always repeat all of the stages, give a short insight at the beginning of the session. So far we have covered the very first kind of thing to do before you're actually starting your meditation practice. So you want to set up 3 different kind of conditions, or 3 so-called preparations. The first one being your posture. The posture should be upright when you're meditating, and at the same time relaxed. So you want to train the body to stay upright and relax at the same time. The way to visualize that might be just your skeleton moving up towards the crown of your head. The head feels like suspended from above, and the rest of the body, all the soft tissue in the body, is just melting down into the ground. Second preparation is your breathing. The breathing acts as a bridge between the body and the mind. It's a bit more subtle than the body as such. It's a bit more energetic in nature. So when you're breathing, you want to breathe deeply, but most importantly, comfortably. The third preparation is your attitude that you bring into the practice. Very, very important. The attitude is often overlooked, resulting in all kinds of twisted variations of practice, of meditation. We might do the meditation practice because we secretly dislike ourselves, and we somehow try to use meditation practice to change ourselves into something that is more likable. Or you might use meditation practice to avoid dealing with issues that you don't want to deal with within yourself. You might use it as a so-called escape, so that you do not have to face up with things that are looming in your daily life, asking for your attention. So all this is very common. It's really important to approach yourself with the right kind of attitude. And the right kind of attitude in meditation practice is kindness and compassion. So kindness is the ability to accept what is there as it is, and compassion is the ability to empathize with what's there. With your suffering, for example, you might be having a hard time to relax. Maybe your body is very stiff and tight. Maybe you're experiencing emotional upheaval, emotional disturbances of some sort. Can you allow that? Because it is already the way it is. So learning to make peace with the way it is kind of the essence of meditation practice, rather than trying to create something new. Once you have thoroughly prepared yourself, that should take 1 or 2 minutes in the beginning, just checking your posture, taking a few deep breaths, and then checking in with your attitude, and you move on to the first stage. The first stage of practice is all about allowing your body to settle. So you're basically getting out of the way, and you allow your body to do the work it really wants to do. Your body is naturally relaxing if you don't do anything. You just sit around, your body will naturally start to relax. Just lie down in your bed, your body will naturally start to relax. Just like when you're lying in your bed at night, your body naturally goes to sleep. Now, if you're trying to go to sleep, that's called insomnia. It doesn't work, because it's a very natural thing to fall asleep. And it happens when you're not interfering with it, when you're not trying to do it. Right? The same is true when you're in meditation session. Your body can't relax if you're trying to force to relax it. It doesn't work that way. Instead, what is enough for the body to relax is paying attention to it. Just really spreading your awareness out into the body, and we go through every limb as we do this practice. First is the legs, then the belly, then chest and heart, then arms and shoulders, the head, and finally the entire body. Today we shortened it a little bit. We just directly jumped into feeling the whole body as you breathe in, allowing it to relax as you breathe out. This introduces the second stage, which is present moment awareness. Present moment awareness is all about letting go of the mental need to go elsewhere. The mind likes to go elsewhere. It likes to go into the future or the past, think about this and that. The mind does that because it's deeply uncomfortable with the way it is. It is deeply uncomfortable with truth. So here we are learning to be comfortable with truth. We do that by being comfortable in your body, first of all, by relaxing from the inside out. Then it's absolutely more easy to actually stay with the body, listen to nice sounds around you, just be here. Second stage. That introduces, as it deepens, the third stage. The third stage is called silent present moment awareness. Here we let go of the inner talk, the inner voice. As that deepens, eventually there will only be your breath that's left. So then you're paying attention to your breath, just knowing whether you're breathing in or out at first. As you're concentrating on your breath, you're going through various stages of progress in meditation practice. And it's really important to know these stages of progress, because otherwise you'll end up confused. Some of you might have already experienced some of the stages of progress. So the progress in meditation practice is primarily dependent on the attitude, as we have established it in stage, before even stage 1. Okay? So here's an example where you're bringing the attitude to your meditation practice. How you are relating to your breath. How do you feel about your breath? What are you doing with it? How are you treating it? It's really, really important. If you are actually practicing breathing meditation and you're just seeing the breath as some sort of thing that needs to be dominated by you, needs to be controlled by you, then it will not work out very well. You're basically working from willpower and force that gets you to places. It's not an entirely bad thing, really. It gets you to places. Willpower can get you quite far. But eventually you will find out that all you're doing is you're building tension. So it's really important to be aware of how you're actually receiving your breath. How do you pay attention to it? How are you dealing with it? Are you trying to make it follow your will? And how do you deal with distractions? It's another point. How do you treat yourself when you're getting distracted? Are you okay with that? Do you see that this is normal? Or do you feel that you getting distracted it should not happen? Quote unquote, it should not happen. I should be focused. I should be concentrated. I should be awake. Yet I'm tired. I'm totally distracted. I'm an emotional wreck. And I should be totally fine. I'm sitting on the meditation mat. So it's time to focus on the breath, right? Well, not really. It is time to see what is happening. But it's time to look at yourself. To see what are you experiencing right now? And how do you relate to that? Whatever it is that you're experiencing, demand some flexibility. You might be extremely tired from work, and it's late at night and you're trying to do a meditation session and focus on the breath. Guess what will happen with you? You'll get tired. You'll probably drift off and sleep. Now this is what should be happening to you. What should be happening to you in that moment is exactly what is happening to you. But then you might have an ideal in your mind. You might feel like, no, just before the session I felt very much awake and active. And all of a sudden, as soon as there's 5 minutes in, I'm feeling super drowsy and all I want to do is just lie down and sleep. That should not happen, but it is happening. Yeah, but it should not happen. Yeah, but it is happening. You see the conflict between what you think it should happen and what is happening. In other words, the conflict between ideals and the truth. So as a meditator, we're not interested in ideals. Doesn't matter. Ideals don't matter. What matters here is the truth. You're tired. How do you relate to that tiredness? Is it allowed? Are you actually allowed to be tired? That would be kindness. Accepting the fact that you're tired. Can you empathize with yourself? Can you understand why you're tired? And how it couldn't be any different? Of course you're tired. You know the story of Jesus being on the cross. Probably some of you have read it. There's this moment when Jesus becomes thirsty, yes, and there's a soldier. I think somehow the story goes something like that, yes. There's a soldier who gives him a sponge. He dips it into vinegar, and he reaches up the sponge so Jesus can drink. And it's not water, it's vinegar. So it's undrinkable. So he's kind of mocking Jesus up on the cross or something like that. And I think one of Jesus' disciples sees, it might have been another element of torture, but one of his disciples sees what's going on and he's outraged by it, and he storms up and tries to actually get to the soldiers and attack them. And Jesus says, stop. You should forgive them because they do not know what they do, I think is what he said. I might totally mix things up. Yeah, maybe some of you knows this story a little bit better. I don't know. This is somehow the way I've connected this. Forgive them because they do not know what they do. It might have been something totally different. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Yes. Also, anyone who is listening to this form online, please feel free to write it down into the comment section. The whole point of this statement here is forgive them because they do not know what they do. Can you forgive yourself because you're not knowing what you're doing? How could you? If you knew what you were doing, you were already enlightened. So the fact that you are going inwards, you're in uncharted territory. You are trying to find a way to help yourself to relax. And it's pretty tricky stuff. It's not so easy. Is that understandable for you? Can you relate to that? If your friend came to you and says, oh, I have a hard time to meditate, I'm so distracted, could you empathize? Yeah, you could, right? You could say, yeah, me too. I'm sitting down, I'm super distracted all the time. You could empathize. You could understand what your friend is going through, right? Well, I feel a lot of emotions when I'm meditating. All of a sudden, emotions are coming up to the surface, and there's grief, and there's anger, and there's impatience, and frustration with myself. And there you have your friend again saying, yeah, man, I understand. It's exactly what I'm experiencing. That is nice, not being alone in your struggle. That's an effect of compassion. Being able to actually relate to your experience by understanding that you're not alone in your experience helps heaps. It helps you to actually be more open to your suffering, to your problems. And it's when that openness sets in that actually this suffering has a chance to heal, it has a chance to go. Because you're not holding on to it anymore with a tight grip of idealism. But you're actually liberating your suffering, you're liberating all these mental states which are giving you a hard time because you're seeing them clearly for what they are. Just simple conditions, stuff that you've learned and picked up in your daily life. We don't do what we do because we know what we're doing. We do what we do because we have learned to do that. And many things are teaching us to do what we do. Your parents, society, culture, your past, your memories, your feelings and emotions, all of it being entirely conditioned by the outside world. You're doing things because you have learned to do them. You do things to yourself because you have learned to do them. Mentally, emotionally, physically. And you know you're not alone in that. We're all like that. We're all doing that. We're all busy trying to be happy. And we're all kind of having a tool set which is more or less helpful, our mind, and we have no skills, so we don't know how to apply those tools actually. So we're like in a dark room trying to somehow build something with a tool set that we don't really understand yet. So it's totally normal to be distracted, have no clue what you're doing, to feel completely lost, etc. That belongs. And it is a vital point here to learn to be okay with that. It's all right to be confused and lost and have no clue what to do. It's okay. You don't have to know. You don't have to be on top of things. In fact, nobody really is. It's more like things are on top of us, weighing us down. While at the same time promising happiness. It's kind of a funny world. The happiness doesn't come from things, it doesn't come from stuff. Happiness comes from unburdening yourself, detaching from stuff for a little while, to understand that there's more to experience than just stuff that you can experience. There's, for example, experiencing itself. But before we come to that, how do you experience your breath? Are you kind to it? And what does that really mean? If I gave you 2 minutes now to be kind to your breath, what would you do? This stuff is practical. I'm talking about practical things. So what would you do? You have 1 minute or 2 minutes. The task is, be kind to your breath. What would you do?
Leave it alone.
Nice. Leave it alone. Isn't that beautiful? That's a wonderful answer. And that's precisely what kindness is all about. Can you leave it alone? Just for a bit. And another aspect of kindness is, while at the same time that you're leaving it alone, you're paying attention to it. You're interested in it. It is what human beings love the most. If there is a person in your life that shows genuine interest in you, while at the same time not having any demands, that is wonderful. This is what we all experience as incredibly liberating and nice. We all love these kind of people who give us that gift of, how do you call it, the kind of attention that doesn't have any demands. Unconditional attention. Unconditional love. Say again?
Like a dog.
Yes, like a dog, exactly. That's why we love pets. Very often they just give us exactly that. They pay attention to us, and we can pay attention to them, and there is just no business transaction going on. I'm not paying attention to the dog so that the dog will then pay back some attention to me or something like that. There's none of that. It's just a very carefree relationship between you and the dog. And we love that when the dog just receives you as you are happily. The dog is just happy to see you. And the dog doesn't care about your past, your history, or your future or whatever. The dog has no interest in that. He's just happy to see you now. That kind of feels good, doesn't it? That's why many people actually prefer to relate to pets than to other human beings, because there's this element of judgment is gone. You're just simply loved. And the good news is, you can love yourself like that. If you ask yourself a simple question, how would you like to be treated by anyone? What would make you feel like really fuzzy and warm and happy? If someone treats you in what kind of way? What would make you feel good? And then you do exactly that, and you receive yourself in exactly that way. Because anyways, you are relating to yourself, right? Might as well relate to yourself in good ways, in nice ways. Uplifting, encouraging, friendly, kind, because you can choose to do these things. Imagine you would be your own personal, private Jesus. And you would be there to look after you. Imagine you would be that protective archangel which is standing right behind you with spread out wings, protecting you, taking care of you, loving you, never going anywhere, but always being there for you. Imagine you would be that. And the amazing thing is you actually could be that for yourself. And how will your life change if you could just relate to yourself in this beautiful way? If you wouldn't beat yourself up, if you actually appreciated yourself and see the little things that you do that are nice, that are good every day. You're doing a few nice things. That's nice. It's good to see that. And as your breath is coming to you, does it wag its tail, or does it keep the tail behind, like between its legs, in fear? Does your breath fear that you're going to punish it, that you're going to judge it, look down upon it, trying to control it, put it on a leash? Or is your breath really happy that you're there? Ideally, your breath is wagging its tail when it sees you. And it wants to hang out with you. It doesn't even want to go elsewhere. The breath going elsewhere, meaning your mind being distracted away from the breath, actually is a sign that you're not treating yourself kindly. So the mind really tries to get away from you. It wants to be distracted. It wants to do other things. If you're kind to yourself, the mind is happy. It comes right to you. It stays right here. Has a good time with you. And it is exactly like that. Again, I'm talking about highly practical things. I'm talking in a language of image, so to kind of get these feelings across that come with these images. When you see your breath, are you happy? Are you wagging your tail? Are you happy to see your breath? You're still breathing. You have one breath right now, right here. Isn't that nice to take a deep, refreshing, wonderful breath? And to benefit your body with that. And to relax on the out-breath. Isn't that nice? Just a simple pleasure of taking one conscious breath. Paying attention to yourself, being nice to your body, to your mind, of guiding yourself into a relaxed state. Isn't that wonderful? Just one. I'm not saying you need to be mindful of your breath for 24/7. You better don't forget your breath. Because otherwise you get the stick. Right? What's the stick? Maybe your teacher's disapproval. I need to focus on my breath because otherwise my teacher doesn't like me anymore. And he will kick me out of the school. I need to focus on the breath because I can't afford to mess up anymore. I've messed up enough. Here's the attitude is in the way. You can't even relax because of the attitude, the way you approach your breath. And finding that little bit of happiness in in-breath and out-breath, just the pure contentment of just being here with that one breath mindfully. Is that enough? Can that be enough? Yes, it is. And if you enjoy that one breath, chances are that your mind likes that, so it wants to go back to it, naturally. Your mind anyways goes back to things it likes. Or let's say that it is habituated to go back to. But very often also the mind goes back to things that it likes. And so here we are conditioning the mind, the brain, the nervous system, to come back to the breath because it feels really good to just take one mindful breath. Do yourself a favor and do that frequently. Again and again, give your whole being a signal. I am here for you. I take care of you. I look after you. And gradually you will build more and more consistency, just quite naturally, because it is nice. So today was all about how to relate to your breath, and to relate with it with kindness, with compassion, to appreciate it, to be curious about it, interested in it, discover it, play with it, So I hope that this helps with your practice and enriches your practice a little bit, allows it to go deeper. So you have a good time with your meditation, actually enjoying yourself, which is the whole point of what we're doing here. Now, do you have any questions?